I really do is change their belief system or help them change it.
Yeah.
Because our belief system is the dominant factor that controls everything that happens to us. And I learned this a long time ago, that if we can change our belief system, we can change what happens to us.
Yeah.
So the best way to improve your life is to improve your thinking.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Breakthrough Code. I have one of my favorite guests on again. He's already been on once, and then I interviewed him twice for my Global Energy Healing Summit. And he's always a huge hit, so I wanted to bring him back. And I have regular conversations with him because he's such a source of wisdom and somebody who's really helped me out a lot. And in one of our last conversations, and by the way, this is Raymon Grace. You probably recognize him if you've seen the Breakthrough Code show before, or if you've gone on to my Global Energy Healing Summit in the past. And Raymond is a fascinating human being. He's somebody who lives in Virginia. He lives in a beautiful piece of land out in nature. And he's somebody also, though, who is set out from boyhood to maximize the use of his mind. And he started with the Silva Method, was an instructor of the Silva Method, which back in the day, millions of people were reading that book and learning how to do that. Raymond was one of the top instructors teaching people how to use their minds. Then he studied with shamans, and then he really mastered something called dowsing. And Raymond dowses in a very unique way. He actually, you have a little pendulum that you dowse with. Raymond's is a bullet. and he can get answers from his intuition. So it doesn't really matter what he's dowsing with. He's accessing his intuitive nature and finding answers to help people. So one of the things, Raymond, that you and I were talking about, I don't know, maybe the last couple times we talked, was you had a doctor that is now bringing you in, and you've helped people with health issues and all sorts of issues for decades now. And was it 190 countries, 140 countries, some crazy number like that? How many, do you remember how many it is, Raymond? How many countries?
Well, I believe at last count this week, it was about 157 people we worked on since the first of the year.
Yeah, no, that's with the doctor, but countries all over the world. So with this doctor, the doctor's bringing Raymond in to work with patients, and they're getting really great results. So I wanted to let all of you know what the heck he's doing, because these are some things you can help yourself with too. So Raymond, tell us the story about the doctor and how that came about, and then we'll dive into some of the things you're working on that our listeners could also help themselves with.
Well, Tom, I received a letter late December, I believe it was, a very polite written letter. This fellow had heard of me, and I've got a little bit of hoarseness in my throat today, so I'll have to clear my throat from time to time. And he wanted to get acquainted. So I called him, and we had a very pleasant conversation, and he wanted to know if I would work for him and help him out. And I said, well, we can give it a try and see how it works.
Yeah.
And it has worked real well. Now, he has a cancer clinic, and I work with patients, but I never mention the word cancer.
Yeah.
What I do, I work at changing their belief systems. And he said that he's having fantastic results. I hear him tell a lot of his patients this, about how much success that he is having now with them. And all I really do is change their belief system or help them change it.
Yeah.
Because our belief system is the dominant factor that controls everything that happens to us. And I learned this a long time ago, that if we can change our belief system, we can change what happens to us. Like the people that always say they have bad luck. If they didn't have any, if it wasn't for bad luck, they wouldn't have any. Well, they're never going to improve like that, as long as they think that way.
Yeah.
So the best way to improve your life is to improve your thinking.
Yeah.
So what happens, we do all of our sessions by Skype, by Zoom. So we may have someone in a foreign country, and there'd be three of us talking, the doctor, the patient, and myself, all just having a normal conversation with each other. And I check the other person out, and that people I've never met before, and tell them what it is that their body really believes.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, actually, most of them are surprised. They didn't realize that they had so many belief systems that were actually making them sick, affecting their prosperity, affecting their happiness. So the bottom line is, Tom, if we can help a person change their belief system and their process of thinking, we can help them change their life. And that's really what I've been doing for years. It's just that I'm getting more opportunities to do it now, that I have a professional doctor to work with who has apparently a never-ending line of patients.
Yeah.
So we do about 2 or 3 every morning, 6, sometimes 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's working out quite well. Some of them come back for more, and we work on all manner of problems. I wouldn't even try to describe everything we're working on. That's
Yeah.
wouldn't be profitable. But bottom line is we're helping them change the way they think.
Yeah. So Raymond, first of all, that's amazing. And how did you discover? I believe, I absolutely totally believe what you're saying, that our belief systems are the most important thing. You can get all sorts of medical interventions. They can try and cure, even with cancer. You know, you can take out a cancerous part, right? A tumor, a cancerous part. But if the belief system is unchanged, that's when you see a lot of cancer reoccur. How did you discover the importance of the belief system in healing, being healthy, wealth, prosperity? How did you discover that the belief system is really at the core?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because the truth is, there was something coming to mind just now that I hadn't thought of in years. That's kind of the way my mind works. You
Yeah.
trigger something in my mind, I might have thought of 40 years ago. And I remember reading a Bible verse one time, says, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. So I kind of took that seriously. I'm not an authority on the Bible, but I read it for a amount. But I remember that one verse, and I really took it seriously. And then once I got acquainted with Jose Silva and his method of teaching, and he greatly emphasized positive thinking. So did Henry Ford. He said, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just picked up bits and pieces from intelligent people over the years that all points to the same idea. The first rule of success is think of what you want, not what you don't want.
Yeah.
And I try my best to get that across to the people in my classes. And see, I can listen to a person talk for a while, and I can tell why they have the problems they have. If they're always complaining about something, or something's never going right, it's like they are looking for something to go wrong, and they always find it.
Yeah. 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 You had a situation with your knee, I know several years ago, where you had and you kind of traced it back to a belief that you inherited probably from your dad, I think, because he had a bad knee, right?
Right.
And then you started developing that. Tell us how you turned that around and fixed your knee.
I'll be glad to tell it because I'm really well pleased with the results that we got on that. What happened? Dad had a crippled left knee, which he suffered with up until the time he passed on. Well, it wasn't very long after that my left knee started giving me trouble. So I was friends with an old Indian medicine man, Chief Two Trees, over in North Carolina, a very good friend of mine, very intelligent man. So I visited him one day and told him what the problem was. And all he said was, yeah, he had the same problem. When his dad passed on, he picked up the problems of his dad,
Mm.
but he never told me how to fix it.
Yeah.
Nobody did. One time I limped for 32 years. Not every day, and some days were kind of severe. Some days it didn't bother me at all. There were days I could actually run.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the problem didn't go away.
Mm.
So I was watching a video that someone had sent me. I don't even recall who the speaker was, but the speaker was discussing DNA. And the words that got my attention so much was he said 95% of human DNA is junk. We don't know what it's for. It's not useful for anything. Well, that didn't hit me just real well. I think, you just haven't got smart enough to figure out what it's for yet. So, I mean, I'm pretty blunt about my comments, as you
Yeah.
well know.
Yeah, I know that.
So I thought, I got to thinking, what the speaker did, he made me think. And I got to thinking about this. I bet I could change it. I don't know, I can't. And a lot of times people ask me how I do things, like whether it's energize water on the other side of the world or turn arsenic into water or whatever it is. They said, how do you do it? And my standard answer is, well, I didn't know I couldn't. That's amazing, but it amazing answers. It's that simple. That's what's so amazing about it. It's that simple. I don't do anything that's complicated. So what I did in a matter of less time than it will take to tell it, I went back in time, and you say how? Just with my mind, by intent. Because when people, I have another answer when people ask me how I did something. Besides, I didn't know I couldn't. I did it with intent, and the answer to everything I think I've ever done.
Yeah.
I had an intention to do it. So what I did, I set an intent to go back in time to a moment of conception and remove all information from all strands of my DNA that contributed to a crippled and non-functioning left knee. I tried to put all the words in the right order. When I did that, the next thing I did was, I said, I want to put, at moment of conception, put the appropriate information in all strands of my DNA to help me to create a perfectly healthy, functioning, and totally pain-free left knee. Next morning, I couldn't walk. I had to get a cane to get to the kitchen. I'd never walked with a cane before in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I hobbled around with that cane for 2 or 3 days, and I talked to my friend Jeff Jones that you met.
Yeah.
And I said, Jeff, what have I done here? This is not the way I planned it. He said, you did all right. He said, you fixed your knee, but the rest of your leg hasn't got accustomed to it yet. So he said, it's going to take a while. Well, it did. I walked with a cane for 3 months. Then I walked with one for another 3 months, just periodically when I would need it. Maybe if I was going in a grocery store, I might take a cane in there or something. But normally around the house, I didn't need it. And then I just stopped carrying the cane with me because I didn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Now I'm taking strides, long strides, climbing hills, mountains, like I did 35 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
But let me put something else right here to the folks. If you have a body part that is not working correctly, doesn't matter what part it is, thank that body part every day and put the spirit of love in it. Now, that may sound strange, I realize that, but most everything I do is pretty strange. I find that each part of a human body has its intelligence, and it responds to gratitude. And it would also respond to ridicule and complaints, because I have noticed the people that complain about whatever part of their body is giving them trouble don't ever seem to get well.
Yeah.
Why? Because they feed the problem every day.
Yeah.
So if you want to change something in your body, you've got to think of it the way you want it to be, in good health, working properly. Because as long as you complain about it and tell all your friends and neighbors about how bad you hurt or how much you limp or what the problem is, you're feeding the problem every day. And it seems like folks can't quite get smart enough to connect those dots. So that's why I'm so blunt when I say things. It's kind of hard to miss what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, that's also why you're so successful in what you do, because you're when you commit to something, you're all in. You're not, okay, is it going to work? Is it going to work? You're just bam, all in. And so your mind follows that. It follows you. You're a great leader of your mind. And I think a lot of other people, well, actually, I'm going to ask you this because I think people hear this and all the best advice, from the ages is exactly what you're saying. Decide what you want, focus in on it, believe it, feel it, and continue to believe and feel it until it happens. Jesus said in the Bible too, that that, he was talking about the miracles he did, that, these things I do, you can do too. You just need the faith the size of a little mustard seed, and you tell that mountain to move, and the mountain would move. Why do people, well, rather than saying why do they struggle so much, because I know why they struggle, they just don't have certainty. You have so much certainty, but how does somebody change their mind where, let's say they've got an achy knee, and that achy knee hurts, and that hurt, that pain is pulling their attention to it, and they makes it real every time it hurts. Your knee was hurting, but you had a different belief about it. You said, hey, it's already healed, my leg's just adjusting, right? Or whatever it was. But how do people do that? I think that's the biggest thing people struggle with, Raymond, is they keep looking at the current reality, and you're beyond the current reality. You're taking your body and the parts, and we'll talk about body parts in just a minute, but you're taking it beyond reality, and you keep your mind beyond the current reality. How do people do that better? What advice would you give them?
Well, I guess you just did, Tom. But I'll try to improvise on it maybe a little bit. And by the way, you folks watching this, if you see me looking off to the right, it's because that's where I'm looking at Tom's picture, and I hear him better if I'm looking at him. So that's why I'm not always looking directly at the camera here. But how do you do it? Well, first off, you got to start thinking. And I found that a lot of folks just don't think. And you need to use just simple, what I call logic. And let's just go over just a very few principles here. All of my work is based on three simple principles. Number one, all things, including beliefs, thoughts, memories, and opinions, are forms of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligent human mind can redirect energy. What that means is change your thinking. All right. The next one is energy is impressed upon matter. That's a statement from Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thoughts and actions are energy. Your physical body is matter. So if energy is impressed upon matter, your thoughts are, that's another way of saying it is, your thoughts affect your body.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very simple.
Yeah.
Einstein said a lot of stuff in very few words. And one of his favorite things he said was, energy follows thought.
Yeah.
Well, that means wherever you put your thoughts, you put your energy.
Yeah.
If you put your thoughts into aches, pains, and poverty and troubles, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Put your thoughts into something you want. I would suggest that people set goals, write them down.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you write a goal down and read it every day, it helps to affect your mind to believe it. See, we are affected by what we hear, whether we believe it or not. And there's a lot of negativity out in the world that affects people, but they don't really pay much attention to it, that it affects them. This is why I'm very particular where I go and who I associate with.
Mm-hmm.
I want to associate with winners instead of losers.
Yeah.
And I don't go where there is negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And someone may be asking, well, how do you know? Well, I'm a dowser, so I simply douse the energy of a place before I go there.
Yeah.
Now, this is getting out a little bit further than what you've asked, but so many people check with me about going on a vacation, getting on an airplane, and I always check the energy of these places. I check for potential danger. That's just another thing you can do with doubting. But bottom line is, choose people and events that empower you and make you happy.
Yeah.
And you say, but I'm obligated to go to some kind of an event with people I don't get along with. You have chose to be obligated. I choose not to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I don't go around low energy people and low energy events.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. And you don't let your mind go to even thoughts in you don't let your mind go to realities that other people would go to, like, oh, my knee's not fixed, or whatever, or I've got this, or I've got this ache, I always have this. You don't allow your mind to go there. And so I like that. That's a great concept. There's certain places don't allow your mind to go to. Let's say you are somebody that, has an illness, like these patients that you're working with, right? If they allow their mind to go to, I'm sick, I've got this disease, I've got that disease, look up on the internet, what's the prognosis? And then their mind just goes, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen to me based upon what I read on the internet. Like, that's a terrible use of your mind. Like, what do you want? What do you want?
They probably are thinking that, but I won't listen to them long enough for them to tell me that.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever I have a patient come on the screen, I'll say, look, I would really like to help you. This is what we're going to do. You don't tell me what your problems are. I'll tell you.
Yeah. And tell them what,
I don't have to listen to a lot of aches and pains and negativity.
Yeah, I love it. And also, if you did listen to all that, you'd probably get, you wouldn't, but the average person would get some negative limitations of what could be done. One of my favorite stories, and we've told it before, is when you had the farmer called you up and said his hay crop, friend of yours, his hay crop had been sprayed for weeds, but they put the wrong spray on it and they did Roundup and killed his crop. But he didn't tell you, and you didn't go look at it and go, oh, geez, look at it. It's terrible. And he told you later that everything was gone. Nothing was even alive. And you didn't even know that. In your mind, all you did was, all right, Roundup, what's the frequency of that in my mind? And then you changed it in your mind into fertilizer. That's what you did. And you did it, but you didn't just do it with, okay, let's see if this is going to work. You did it with belief, and then you let it go and you went on and did whatever you were doing. And the guy comes back a month later or whatever it was and showed you pictures, best hay crop he ever had. And how, I can't believe how this happened. Everything was completely gone and dead. But that's the kind of belief we need to develop. How did you develop that? Or have you always had that level of belief in something?
Well, the real truth is, Tom, he didn't tell me that every alfalfa plant in his field was dead.
Yeah,
If
I know.
he told me that, I would have logically said, I can't help it. But since I didn't know that, I thought it was a possibility.
Yeah.
So it was, I really believe that if I had all the information, I would have never been able to do it.
Yeah.
But since I didn't have the information, I thought, well, yeah, we might be able to do that.
Yeah. What's a good affirmation for people? I'm going to get into some specifics in a minute, but what's a good affirmation for people? You've got some great affirmations you do every day, but what's a good one that people can say, if there's just one that just reminds them, I'm in control of my mind controls my life. Maybe that's one, but what would be a good thing for someone to tell themselves every day to start develop that strong, powerful belief system?
Well, the one I use is when people ask me to do something, well, I don't know if I can do that, but I don't know that I can't.
Okay. Yeah. What's one more powerful than that, though, that someone can tell themselves every day that starts to develop that confidence that they can heal their body or they can change their situation? What would you tell them to say?
Well, let me think on this, Tom, because I wasn't quite ready for the question.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong with the question. I just wasn't quite.
Well, can I give an example? Like, yeah, but let me give you an example. You one of the ones you do that you taught me and my son was, I'm always in the right place at the right time. So that would be a good example of something like that. Yeah.
I just thought of another one. You just kind of helped me out there.
Yeah.
And that affirmation would be, this is my body, and I'm the one that'll make the decisions for it.
I love that. This is my
I've
body.
never said that before, Tom. I get smarter when I talk to you.
I love that. This is my body. I'll make the decisions for it, right? I'll decide how healthy my body is. I love that. I love that. So, and by the way, when we do that, we start to take back power. So many people, in any situation, it could be health, it could be wealth, it could be, whatever it is, they give their power away. They go, I have to go to so-and-so to get this fixed, right? You know, the doctor is going to fix me.
Tom, let me say it this way. Anytime that a person asks for another one's advice on what to do, they're giving the power to the other person.
Yeah.
Now, if it is, but there's cases where this is a good thing to do. I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
I needed had some mechanical problem. I would ask a mechanic, and I would trust, somebody I know. I would trust what they told me because I realize they know more about the subject than I do.
Yeah.
As far as things about our bodies and our everyday life, I think we need to be in total control of that.
Yeah.
Another thing, Tom, I've helped an awful lot of people eliminate food allergies.
Mm.
It's a story I don't think I've ever told you, but this
Yeah.
goes many years ago, probably I'd say 20 years or more. And it was an Ozark Research Institute, a place I used to teach out in Arkansas. And in the class, I just said, does anybody here have any allergies that you'd like to get rid of? I might be able to help you. I don't really promise them I can, but I might be able to help.
Yeah.
The fellow raised his hand. He said he was allergic to fish. I said, well, what would happen if you ate fish? He said, I would go into shock. It was some kind of long word before shock, but I don't know what it was. Well, anyway, we went down to the dining hall that day, and they just happened to have fried catfish. And the guy standing there in line, I said, I think I helped you a while ago, but don't take a change on it. Don't, if you want to eat a bite or so, go ahead, but be careful because I didn't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't eat a piece of fish. He ate a platter full. And he come back to class that afternoon. How do you feel? Oh, I'm fine. Didn't bother me a bit. I ran into a guy in Colorado some years later. I recognized him. I said, hey, you're that guy that was allergic to fish. I said, how's it going? Oh, I eat it anytime I want.
Yeah.
We have had so many successes of eliminating allergies on people. And I suppose we just change their belief system.
So how do you do that? How does someone eliminate an allergy?
Well, the way I do it, and it's so simple,
Mm-hmm.
I neutralize the negative effect of the food upon their body, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, am I actually putting a belief in their mind? I don't really know. I think what I'm actually doing is changing the belief in their body rather than mind. Now, maybe I'm doing both. I'm not real sure.
Yeah.
But neutralize, that means take energy away from, whether it, no matter what the food is, neutralize the negative effect upon the person's body. I don't have a 100% perfect record at this, but I've probably got a 99% record.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you said there's 4 key areas of a person that you check when you're working with these patients that the doctor has that you're working with. And by the way, you're working with these patients, but you've been working with people for decades doing the same type of stuff. This doctor now is just you're more actively working with him, but people, you get hundreds of emails every day asking for help, and you're teaching courses. We'll talk about that at the end. You teach courses on dowsing so people can help themselves. But what are the 4 key areas that you check in on to see what the belief systems are in these areas, so you can help people to free these areas, these parts, so that they can heal? What are the 4 key areas?
Tell me, we're giving these to you before recalling that. You may have to remind me of something here.
Oh, so I think it's the soul, the brain, the heart.
Oh, got it. Now I understand what you're asking. Yes.
Yeah.
I checked to see what does the soul believe, soul, brain, heart, and sexual organs. Why?
Yeah.
Because those are the 4 areas of a human that keeps humans on the planet. Without those 4 areas, the human race would become extinct in less than 100 years. So I checked to see what each part of the body believes.
Yeah.
And they do not always believe the same thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I have noticed that is predominant, and that is their soul has a strong belief that they deserve to suffer.
In a lot of human beings?
Pardon?
In a lot of human beings, the soul has a belief that,
Oh, I would say over 90, I'd say 95% of the clients that I have checked their soul has a belief that they deserve to suffer. Now, the
wow,
brain might not have that belief, and the
yeah,
heart may not have that belief.
yeah,
But I've just noticed it's just so obvious you can't miss it. Their soul believes they deserve to suffer. And there's a reason for that. They have been taught down for generations that suffering was a good thing, it would make them a better person or something like that. I never fell for that one. Because I just, it don't make any sense.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, so I think that human beings should do whatever they can to be as healthy as we can and to be as productive as we can and to make the world a better place to live.
yeah, yeah,
Just my philosophies on this. Um, and it's worked for me, Tom. I have ridden this planet around the sun not quite 80 times, but almost
mm-hmm,
come end of the year.
yeah,
And I'm still running a farm. I run chainsaws, I dig post holes. I've got a big garden. I work all the time.
yeah,
Why? Because I believe I can.
yeah,
If you stop, you might not get started again. So I just keep going.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
So it's I refused. I guess I refused to get old.
yeah,
Now I'm trying to think the movie star's name that has a saying. He's 93 years old now. Yeah, Clint Eastwood. Someone was asking Clint Eastwood about how he was doing as well as he does. He said, "I don't let the old man in."
yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, yeah,
So what he said, what I'm saying, are very close to the same thing.
yeah. So suffering, a lot of people do have a belief in their soul and then potentially in other parts that they have to suffer, that suffering's worthy, it's good. And but you can take that belief away that we have to suffer, right? We can take that away, we can reduce that.
Yes, we have been real successful at being able to take a belief system away from a person. Now, sometimes they'll backslide and you have to do it again for them. Not everybody is going to respond equally.
Yeah,
Uh, but overall, we've been able to take the belief of suffering out of people's body, mind, and spirit. But usually it's the soul that believes that. But occasionally you'll find someone at every cell of their body believes they deserve to suffer.
yeah,
And all I do is just use doubting to neutralize the belief that they deserve to suffer. And I put in an alternative belief that
yeah,
suffering is totally useless. It doesn't pay any money. It doesn't make them happy, and it doesn't solve problems. So there's no reason for it. I
yeah,
find that suffering does not benefit a person at all. At
yeah.
least that's my belief. I haven't any reason at all to believe that suffering will benefit a person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah. And I think people believe that through suffering they can learn and grow, but you were this is some time ago you told me that you can also grow through fun and pleasure, right? And or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, having a good time, not having to and then grow.
Well, if you make better decisions, there will be less suffering. Suffering is usually caused by bad decisions.
Yeah. 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 So, you say that and I believe this too, like some of this, so like you even talked about with your knee, right? You inherited that belief from your dad, who might have inherited it from his dad, who knows? But so we inherit certain beliefs from our ancestors, and actually it's probably passed on through hearing them talk, but also maybe in our DNA. But that doesn't have to be the final say. We can change that. And you're proving that in your work.
Well, I stumbled across something just by, I do a lot of thinking. and I don't really have somebody to think with most of the time. I do it alone. But I got to thinking that everyone is the product of their ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us needed better ancestors. It's just the bottom line. So we got the color of our eyes, hair, skin, body type, and many of our attitudes from
Mm-hmm.
our
Mm-hmm.
and just the parents and grandparents. It may go back for many generations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have found that a way to help an awful lot of people so far. Not all of them equally, probably, but
Yeah.
at least overall help them. Because the human race has not been very kind to each other.
Yeah.
Simple reading of history of various countries and times would pretty much make that true.
Yeah.
Uh, so I checked, here's the question I asked. What is the effect upon this person of any abuse suffered by their ancestors, by any government or religion?
Mm.
And it sometimes is a disaster. Now, I
Mm.
do all of my dowsing on a scale of 0 to 100%, plus or minus.
Mm-hmm.
But when I ask what is the result of, obviously you want a low reading. That's
Yeah.
not necessarily what you're going to get, but that's better. So, like a 0 to 100, it is not uncommon to find people that is a minus 300
Wow.
effect of their ancestors upon them.
Wow.
Now, can this be changed? Yes. Why? In my opinion, it's because it's just simply another form of energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have the ability as intelligent human beings to change energy.
Yeah.
And we do it with intent. People always ask, how did you do that? I answer that question in one word, with intent.
Yeah.
Uh, and why they ask them, well, why is your intent stronger than mine? Because I practiced it all my life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. And with the people you work with, like you're not getting on used to back in the day, get on a plane or drive a car, but the people you're working with are not physically in your location. You're working with your intent on a person that is sometimes, hundreds of miles, thousands of miles, many thousands of miles away.
Mhm.
Tell people how that works, because I think some people still struggle with the fact that you can only change what you can touch, you can feel, you can, be near. We actually live in a world where that's not true. Yeah, you can change things with your hands and move things, but that's probably the least effective way. When we're really moving energy, the mind in quantum physics has proven this, the mind can move energy anywhere. But just talk about that, your belief about that.
Well, let me see here, Tom. Let's see where we need to start with this. At one time, the world kind of beat a path to my door for me to do physical healing
Yeah.
work on.
Yeah.
Well, that got out of hand, so I had to stop that. And then I thought, well, I can work on people at a distance. Why? I guess I just believed I could. Then I found out that distance was not a factor. I can work on people in Europe and in Australia. So I think the belief that we can do it is the main thing. As long as whether we believe we can or can't, we're probably right.
Yeah.
So I started experimenting. Can I work on somebody 100 miles away, then 1,000, then in Europe, then in Australia, which is on the other side of the world?
Yeah.
I found that there is no such thing as a distance between people whenever you're using energy work. Distance is simply not a factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the believing we can do it is probably the first step.
Yeah.
Now, something else has happened, Tom. For a long time, I only worked on maybe one or two people at a time. Then we started expanding, working on more. The largest number to my knowledge right now was a concert somewhere in Russia with 16,000 people in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked with a famous singer, and I had advised her not to go because I checked the group out, and they had they were a pretty rough bunch, really, and there was a lot of alcohol, and I'm thinking, this may be potentially dangerous. And I suggested that, and she said, well, I have a contract, I have to go. I said, okay, then I'll see what I can do for you. I said, you send me an email just before you walk on stage, and send me another one as soon as you get off. Well, the first one came right in. The second one, I was getting a bit concerned. Finally got it. She said, I have never been treated this well anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we started cleaning up other people, other groups, and so on.
Yeah.
And I found that you can clean up a group, and there will be less problems. They get along better. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to turn everybody into a model citizen. No. But overall, we're making a difference. Now, where I really want to emphasize this, and I did a talk this week, Wednesday night, to the Lone Star Dowsers in Texas, and I really hit that one pretty hard, of people cleaning up schools. Because excuse me, that's what I do quite a bit of. Why? Because there's a need for it. But there's not enough of me to go around. I mean, I really don't think at this point I can clean up every school in America. However, I can clean up a school wherever it is, but I don't know how many I can get, really. So I just usually do one school at a time. But I think we may have mentioned this on a previous talk we made about a bus driver that was going to quit working. It was a lady bus driver, and because the kids were so rude and cursing her, and just like really wild animals.
Yeah.
And when she called me, she was crying and said, I just can't do this anymore. I said, well, go make your run this afternoon and let me know what happens. She called back. They were totally different kids. So I've got films out there that show people how to do this. The one is energy change your life. Very specifically, step by step, shows folks how to change energy.
Yeah.
And to clean up mostly schools. I'm kind of emphasizing on schools right now because that's where an awful lot of violence is taking place. I get a lot of emails from parents wanting help for their kids. So that's why I'm emphasizing this at this time more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Raymond says clean up schools, what he means is, the violence, the negativity, the bullying, all the things that are going on in schools. What he does in his mind is he cleans up that energy so that people are getting along. They're the violence, they don't have the violent tendencies. They don't bully as much. And we can do this too. So Raymond talked about a video that he put together, and where can people find your videos and your classes and courses, Raymond? Where's the best place to go to learn how to do this in more detail with you?
I have a website, and it's just called raymondgrace.us.
Okay.
Don't put a D on my name, Raymon. raymondgrace.us.
Right. So
then we have another one called raymondgracefoundation.org.
Yeah.
Because we have a foundation that does various benevolent work and cleaning up water, cleaning up a river, sponsoring things here locally in Southwest Virginia. So we're doing whatever we can do to see if we can make a positive difference. And I set a goal, as you know, many years ago to clean up water in the world. Well, I haven't got it all done yet, but I've got a number of films out there that people can watch. They're on Raymond Grace YouTube channel. Feel free to watch them. And there's at least 2 on there where I cleaned up water that was, I'd say, pretty impressive. One was in Alaska, one was in Australia. And the one in Alaska, you can see the people drinking the water. They just had tasted terrible before. And it's good. You can just see the expression on their faces change.
And you do that often with people that you talk to, like even me. We've got pretty good water here, but you did something to our water and you could taste the difference. It's like really pretty amazing. you teach, I mentioned this already, but you teach a series of affirmations, or you have ones that you do. And one of them is always being in the right place at the right time.
Mhm.
And I think, when you think about it, like, we are creating our reality with our beliefs and our thoughts. And so if we don't have a belief like I'm always at the right place at the right time, our mind's going to wander into places that aren't going to be the best place, and we're there at the wrong time, right? Like a car accident, you said, is just somebody in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like if they would have been a second later or a second, after, they're not in that. My son had the amazing story of, programming his mind to be in the right place at the right time, and created a, $200 million opportunity out of a guy running past him on a sidewalk and then turning around and stopping and saying, I don't know why I'm stopping, but something tells me I need to talk to you. And my son was like, didn't know what to do, but they talked for a few minutes. The guy gave him his name. And then my son went back and looked him up. The guy was a billionaire with a $4 billion private equity fund at the time that my son was looking to raise a couple $100 million for an acquisition. So being in the right place at the right time, that's one of my favorite affirmations that you have. Give us, in closing here, give us maybe 2 or 3 more. And when you say affirmations, like a lot of people would say, I'm in the right place at the right time. That does nothing. You have to feel it. I'm in the right place. I'm always in the right place at the right time. I'm always in the right place at the right time. Because that's what my son did. He got into an alpha state and just felt it and saw himself being in the right place. He didn't see the guy walking or stopping on a sidewalk. He didn't see that, but his belief system was that was going to happen. And somehow it influenced things where that did happen. Give us a couple more affirmations we can start to really feel to make our belief system strong and start producing great things in our life.
Well, what he did really was use Einstein's advice of energy follows thought. He
Yeah.
put thought out there and it manifested.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember that story. I really admire him for that.
Yeah.
All right. Another is, let's see, I wish I'd have brought the list or put my hand, because sometimes when I'm put on the spot right to think of something, it takes a few moments to soak in here. Let's see, Tom, you read that list.
Yeah. What about one for health? What would be a good one for health? Like just something to tell ourselves about our body, our health, yeah.
Okay, I use the word, I give thanks quite a bit.
Yeah.
I give thanks for maintaining a perfectly young and healthy body, mind, and spirit.
Awesome. I give thanks for maintaining a perfectly young and healthy body, mind, and spirit. What about one for?
Okay, I give thanks for attracting people, circumstances, and events that bring prosperity.
Okay, and why are we saying I give thanks? Because that assumes it's already happened, right?
Well, I guess it's just my way of thinking. I'm not saying anyone has to do that.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, maybe I can give you a better answer. If I ask for something, I'm saying I don't have it. If I give thanks for something, I'm saying I already got it.
Okay, awesome. I like that. So before everything that you actually want to see more of, start with I give thanks.
Well, I don't ever ask for anything.
Yeah.
I give thanks for everything.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's what creates it. That's what creates it and makes it real, is giving thanks. And by the way, that's probably that's the best way to pray for anything, is to give thanks for already having it, right? And then your mind believes that it's already there.
I give thanks for being kind to my family, friends, clients, and animals. Another one. So my life is different than most people living back in the mountains like I live. So anybody living in the city might have a different one, but let's see, attracting people, circumstances, and events for prosperity, and you can also add happiness to that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I'd have known you were going to ask, Tom. I'd have brought the list with me.
Yeah, but
like right now.
But I think just whatever.
I'm still drawing a blank.
Yeah, but whatever you want, just say I give thanks for I give thanks for the wealth and abundance that fills my life, right? In just whatever you want, I love it. I give thanks. Yeah.
I give thanks for repelling all people and circumstances that are harmful to me.
That's right. Yeah, I remember you have that one too. Yeah, I give thanks.
Keep troublesome people out of your life.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, such great stuff. So everybody listening, if you want, and by the way, Raymond teaches courses in Virginia, and he just started them back up, I think, not too long, a year or two ago, a couple of years ago after COVID, and they have outgrown the facility, and now he's moving them to. And by the way, the place that he teaches them in Abington, Virginia, is a beautiful little town. But now you're moving them to a college there, and so you can handle more people. And the courses are amazing. The videos, Raymond has a book or two out also. Go to raymondgrace.us. And I would highly suggest, look, if you can learn through Raymond, through his videos, or on your own some way, if you can learn to control your thoughts and really have more belief in intent. Like Raymond said, that even with his pendulum, he said the pendulum is just a little tool, but what really is moving the needle is the intent. The thought that goes out with intent is how Raymond is changing things for himself and for others. So if you remember that intent, with the right intent, you can heal your body. With the right intent, you can create prosperity. With the right intent, you can create safety for yourself and your family. There's all sorts of things you can do, but it starts with intent. Raymond, do you have any closing words for everybody? This has been so
one more on there. I give thanks for repelling all people and energies that are harmful to me. I think I put that one maybe.
Yeah, you just said that one. Yeah.
Probably just quote Einstein again. No, this is Henry Ford. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're probably right. So which way you want to do it. And the future's yours. So make the best of it.
Yeah. Raymond, thanks so much. It's always so great having you on. You've been somebody that's had a huge impact on my life. And part of the big thing I think that I learned from you is I've always had a strong belief, but sometimes, and even though I teach things like, I'm human and I find myself, sometimes like, is this really going to work? And I just find with you don't ask that question. You just go in and you do it, and then you move on with life, and then you see what happens, right? And yeah, were you gonna say something?
Well, here's another one, Tom.
Yeah,
you're a public speaker. I always say the right thing at the right time in the best possible way.
I love that. I always say the right thing at the right time in the best possible way. That's one of the ones I've taken from you also. So thank you so much. You're such a dear friend. You do amazing work. You are a gift to the planet. Really appreciate you being on with us again. Thanks so much, Raymond.
I thank you for the invitation and wish you a good day.